Hey, welcome to a beginner's guide on how to use Adobe Firefly. If you've not used Adobe Firefly before, there's a lot to unpack. If you have used it before, there may be some features in here that you haven't used before. So I'll be putting a guide down below. We've got chapters down there so you can jump around as you want and find out different aspects of Adobe Firefly. This video is sponsored by Adobe Firefly, but all the opinions in here and the guide is all from myself. So let's dive in and take a look around Adobe Firefly. Now I'm going to assume that you know how to sign up to Adobe Firefly. If you've not used Adobe Firefly before or you want to try it out free, I'll put a link down in the description below for you and also pinned in the first comments there. But here is the Adobe Firefly homepage. Now we've got a few options and I'm going to work down the navigation menu here on the left hand side. We've got create. Now first of all we're going to be looking at the create option. We can also click on new and we've got a few different options here where we can click on creating new items and we can select from that menu, but I find the actual menu items here are the easiest way to navigate. Now in the middle here we can see underneath create, we can either create an image or we can create a video. Now, depending on whether you choose image or video will depend on the model that you are choosing to create your AI image or your AI video. Now, there is more to Adobe Firefly than just creating AI images and AI video. And as we go through, we'll be showing you some of those options in here. So if we choose image, we've got the Adobe models which are commercially safe to use. So if you are doing something for commercial work, then I'd highly recommend using those Firefly models, and they are going to give you different results depending on which one you choose. But also we've got down here, we've got the partner models, whether that's Gemini 3 or Nano Banana Pro or Nano Banana, which is Gemini 2.5. We've got Flux 2.0, Imogen, ChatGPT, all the other options down here, and then you can then choose the aspect ratio of the image or the video that you are creating. And so you've got in here, you've got 16:9, you've got 5:4, 4:5, you've got 9:16, depending on whether you want landscape or portrait. And you can choose from all of those. If you click on more, that's then going to open up the actual image generation area for you that gives you a few more options. From here we can see that on the left hand side we can then still choose and switch between different models. We can also then still choose the aspect ratio, and depending on which model you choose, you can see if I switch to Adobe Firefly we can add in one reference image down here, but if we switch to a Gemini 3 or Nano Banana Pro, we can use up to 6 reference images for our image creation. Now we can then just type in a prompt in here and we can say, let's say we want a penguin. It's a really kind of like broad kind of prompt, and you might be thinking, well, how do I get started with prompts? You can either choose to use another platform, maybe kind of like ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, to create some AI prompts that you want to create and then paste them in here. And you can kind of like play about with it. This one in particular has come up with a more kind of like photorealistic of a penguin skating on ice, which is hilarious. I love it. I love sometimes the randomness of using those more kind of like shorter things because it opens up the creativity there. If you want to, then you can then choose to edit the image. You can see in the top menu here we have the option to edit, and we can either then choose to upload an image and edit that, or we can choose from our cloud storage. And this is where we can choose from our generation history. So we could then choose that penguin skating on ice, and we can then choose to kind of like edit this. So we're going to edit the image and we're going to type it in and add in the prompt to add in some colorful balloons in the sky, and then click generate. And that's going to go away. You can see it's doing its thing, and it's kind of like just editing our image. And that's how we can actually edit an image using Adobe Firefly. And there we go, we've added in some lovely colourful balloons. Now you might be thinking, I want to generate something, but I don't know where to start. And that's where the gallery option comes in. In the gallery option, we've got here a list of images that other people in the community are sharing and are making publicly available. Now you might be looking down here and thinking like, well, I don't know where to start. Okay, I like this little turtle here. We can go and we can view the prompt on that one, and then we can see that we've got the Firefly model here and we've got the actual prompt that was used, and you can then just click and try the prompt yourself. Just click on that and then it's going to generate a version for you. This is an image that I picked earlier on from the gallery and then chose to edit this. And I said I kind of like wanted to add some more ducks in there at first, so we've added in some more rubber ducks in there, and then I said I wanted more ducks, but I wanted a pink one on the top of the dog's head. So you can see we've got the pink duck on top of the head, and you can see even in the reflection there, it's actually reflecting that in the water from the bathtub there, which is a really kind of like cute idea. But that's generating images in Adobe Firefly. Let's move on and take a look at generating video. Now, as you might expect, creating or generating a video is going to be very similar to the options that we had with the image selection. However, there's going to be a few different models. We've got the Adobe Firefly video model, which is commercially safe to use, but we've also got a few partner models there to use. We've got VO 3.1, we've got Ray 3, we've got Runway Gen 4 LF, and we've got VO2. We've got all sorts of different options down here. We can pick then the aspect ratio, whether it's 16:9 or 9:16. And then if you want to, you can choose a first frame and a second frame, and then create a video between that first frame and the second frame. So it'll kind of like generate a kind of like, almost like, imagine it like a transition in a video for you. And I've got a really good video coming up on how to do that. So if you do want to watch and see some more video generation ideas, make sure you do click subscribe down below and follow along, because we are going to be doing more videos around Adobe Firefly for the year ahead. And then we can just click on more, and that's then going to open up the options menu a little bit more here. We can still then choose from the left hand menu here inside Adobe Firefly. We can choose the different models. We can change the resolution between 720 or 1080p. We can choose either widescreen or vertical. We can then see that it has 24 frames per second, and we can change the duration between 4, 6 or 8 seconds, and that will depend on the model that you are using. If we choose the Adobe Firefly one, you can see here we've got 3 different resolutions. We've got 24 frames per second is fixed, or the Adobe Firefly video model is stuck at 5 seconds. Hopefully they change that in the future, but again we can choose between the first frame and the second frame. We can upload reference images and have all of these different options down here inside Adobe Firefly. And again, I am going to be doing more in-depth videos on each of these areas. This is just kind of like an overview as to what you can actually do inside Adobe Firefly. Again, we have the gallery options here, and we can see some of the videos that are being created. So we can say, well, actually, I really like this little character here. We're going to click on view, and we're going to see what was done here with the prompt. And the prompt just says anime 3D, and then we can then change and add in there additional items that we wanted to, and then click on generate and generate our own version of this, or try out the prompt. There's all sorts of other different options here in the gallery. There's this wolf here, so we can click on here, and we can see here that the actual prompt used for this one was a lot longer and a lot more detailed. But my advice to you is to come in, have a play about, change one thing on the prompt, maybe change one thing from the left hand menu there, whether you're changing the motion, zooming out, moving left, tilting, panning, all of those options, and then you've got different styles. So if we wanted to create an anime version of this, we could do click on generate and that's then going to go away and maybe click and generate an anime version of this video. And there we go, a few moments later, and we've got an anime version of this video. It's really fun to kind of dive in and have a play about with those different options inside of Adobe Firefly. But let's dive in and take a look at the next item in the menu. Now, the next item we have on the menu here is the generate soundtrack option. Now, I have done a full video on the generate soundtrack option, and I'll link that up here and down in the description for you. But we can come over and we can actually change each of these options here, so we can give and choose a different vibe, a different style, and a different purpose. We can change the energy and the tempo, and also change the duration of the actual soundtrack. I'm just going to click on generate for this one that's come up as a kind of like demo idea and see what we get. And then a few seconds later, we've actually got our option. Okay, very different. Okay, we've got 4 different options that we can choose from, and you can play about with each of those. You can choose and describe the purpose, the style, and also the vibe. And you can also upload a video, and what it's going to do then, if you upload a short video of where you want that music, then it's going to actually analyze that video and come up with all of those prompt ideas for you for that particular section of the video. As I say, I have done a full video on this. I'll link that up here and down in the description for you. Now, if we scroll down a bit here, we can see we've got all of the other features. We've got an explore option, but we've also got then the image features that we can do, where we've got text to images here. We've got generative fill, scene to image, which will open up Project Neo, where you can actually create like a 3D world, and then it will generate an image from that for you. You've got text to vector, which is another option where I chose to create an actual vector image, and this is the one I chose to do, which was a penguin skating on ice, very different to the image that we generated at the beginning there. We've also got the generative recolor, which is going to open up Adobe Illustrator. Text effects and generate templates will also then open up Adobe Express. If you've not seen my beginner's guide on Adobe Express, I'll link that up here and also in the description for you. And check out all of the playlists down there. And whilst you're at it, if you feel free to click subscribe, I'd really appreciate it if you also click the like and drop me a comment and let me know if you have any questions around about using Adobe Firefly so far from the things that I've shown you. I want to show you the next feature, which is around ideation. And this is one of my favorite features inside of Adobe Firefly. Now, you can choose to upload files and create a board or create a particular board at the beginning. You've also got some demonstration options here where there's a film project or furniture design project, and you can open those up and explore those. So Adobe Firefly Boards, what are they? They're a kind of like I would describe it as a playground for kind of like ideation and coming up with ideas and merging ideas. And we can see here what I've done is I've taken this image here, and we can see when we can zoom it in here, we can then also click on load the prompt. And I said, like, I want to change the wallpaper, and it was originally a blank wall. I chose this wallpaper, and I've then generated the image here. And we can do all sorts of other things here. We can click on variations, and if you click on variations of more like this, we can then see that's exactly what I then created up here, which was variations. And it kind of like has a rough style on those and creates something very similar. We can also click on this and we can click convert image into a video, and I'll show you a video that I created in a moment. And we've also got image to 3D, just needed to click refresh. And it's not perfect, but you know, we can then zoom in and zoom out of this item. We can change the angle of how we're looking at this, and we can then rotate and have a look, and it creates that kind of like 3D model to kind of like play about with. And the other option that we can do on here, as I say, is I actually created an image where I then added in the wallpaper. Okay, and if you wanted to, I can click on load the prompt there, and we can say, and what I did is I chose the original image, which was where the wall was blank, and then chose the image where the wallpaper had been changed, and I just asked it to animate the wallpaper rolling on, and that's exactly what it's done. As I say, I've done a video on this. I'll link that up here and also in the description for you on how I've done that. But this is kind of like Adobe Firefly Boards. We can generate images. We can also choose to generate video, and we've also got presets available here. So we can do product swaps and all of these things. There is so much to this. I can't possibly include all of this in one video, but I want you to be able to be aware that these presets actually exist. So we could create a loose sketch on something, and we can then choose the image. Let's say I want to choose a loose sketch on this one, and then click generate, and that's going to then use that preset to generate an image. And we can see there after a few moments it's created that image for us, and we can then just click and drag that onto our prompt, and then we can just choose to zoom in there, and we can see that that's actually created a really nice kind of like sketch version of what it is that we were actually prompting there. If you click on load, you can see there you've got the sketch option here, and then the actual image that we chose, and it's created a sketch kind of like artistic version of this particular layout for us. Now, a couple of things to be aware of is kind of like, so say we've got our collection of images here. If we wanted to, we could add these to an artboard. In this little left hand menu here, we can see we've got the artboard option, and I can drag and kind of like highlight in the background of those, and you can see here we've now got these listed as an artboard, and you can double click on this and then change the text on this. You can also then, if you wanted to, choose to download this, and it'll actually download that as one single kind of like artboard. We can change the color of the background on this. We can either choose from a hex code or from the wheel here and choose anything we wanted to on there, or even click on the eyedropper and say we wanted to click on that item there. And there you go. We've now got our artboard there, and if you select and highlight the artboard, you can download that, or you can then choose to open this up in Photoshop or in Adobe Express. And that's what I really like about Adobe Firefly, is how you can then integrate this with other programs that you might be using inside of Adobe. Again, similar to the images that we generate here, we can choose to crop them, remove the background, we can choose to upscale them. If you click on more, you can then choose to open this up in Adobe Express, and then we're going to be able to, this is one where I opened up the penguin, we've got the pug there that we opened up, and also the wallpaper here that I just opened up inside of Adobe Express. And then we can choose to do whatever we want with our designs there inside of Adobe Express. A really handy feature to be able to kind of like work between Adobe Firefly and then load that into Adobe Express. Now, a couple of other new features inside of Adobe Firefly are the generate speech and also text to sound effects. And if you click on generate speech, you're going to then be able to come in and actually generate actual speech with these. If we start typing, I can see then these are a couple that I've then started to play about with. You can type in the text, and then once you highlight the text, you can then choose to add a tone and play about with that. This is a video that I'm actually working on right now that'll be coming out after this one. But if you click subscribe and turn on the bell notification, hopefully you'll see that notification. But we can see, I'm going to play this as a kind of like a little prompt.
This is Darren, a content creator who should be creating a video for today's sponsor, Adobe Firefly. but is currently cleaning his room instead.
You can see there that where I actually says, but is currently cleaning his room instead, it actually said, it kind of like came across as like, well, why is he not doing that? He's like confused as to why he's not doing that. And then kind of like, you know, we can like see as we go along.
Aaron believes a clean room leads to clear ideas. So far, science remains unconvinced.
You can see there, I'm playing about with this prompt, and it's going to be kind of like me talking over and kind of like having a discussion with a narrator. Kind of like just a little fun video idea there that I've got coming up in the future. But if you're watching this in the future, it's probably already out. I'll link it down below. And one of the other features here that is fairly new is text to sound effects. Now we can come in and describe what we want to have in here. Let's have a wolf growling and snarling. Okay, we want that to be 8 seconds long. We can actually record our own voice, so we could record something here. Let's give this a go. I've not tried this so far. Roar, 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 roar. Okay, now we're going to click on generate. That is hilarious. I'm going to be playing about a bit more with that one. Come and have a go at generating your own sound effects. I'd love to know what sound effects you're creating or generating. Tag me over on Instagram at Better Content Creators. Back on the home page and under create, we can see we've got edit video. Now this is a beta version, so hopefully you see that. And we're going to click on a new project and we're going to call it Wolf. Okay, and aspect ratio, we want this to be, I think it was 9:16 our video. We're going to click on create a project, and we're going to be able to look under our generation history. Under here we've got our wolf snarling, so let's drag that down onto the timeline here. And then this was our snarling wolf. I kind of like the second one, I think it was. Okay, so we're going to click on here, and then we can click play. That's really fun to kind of like play about with. We can then choose to crop these in, and if we wanted to, we could drag a second kind of like wolf snarling on here and have that playing as well. So let's try that. You get the idea of that's what we can do. We can also choose to generate images and play about with the first frame and second frame, choose different models here. We've got different resolutions and things like that. We can even edit our video. So if you uploaded your video and it has actual text on there, you can actually edit the video using just the text editor here inside of Adobe Firefly. As I say, I want to make you aware that this exists. I'm going to be creating and having more in-depth videos on how you can use these as I go through the year. If you've got any questions on this, drop me a comment down below. I would love to be able to help and answer those questions. A couple of other things that we can do in here is we can actually add in text. So we've got all sorts of like different text titles, and also we've also then got a couple of transition options inside of Adobe Firefly. But that's kind of like a bit of a brief overview of editing videos inside of Adobe Firefly. Beta version, give it a go. Let me know what you think. I'd love to see what you're creating. Now coming back to the home page, a couple of other options we've got here are translate video, so you'll be able to translate your video into a different language. We've got text to avatar. This is where you've got kind of like some AI avatars, and you can choose your different avatars and choose to add the text over those. Again, that's not a feature I fully played about with just yet. but I want you to be aware that those actual features exist in there. We've also got enhanced speech. Now, as I say, as we're going through these, some of these will then open up additional Adobe products. This one is Adobe Podcast. So you can upload your video in here, and let's say you've got a video with some background noise and you want to remove that. Let me just play this demo for you here.
Hey, Sam here, the lead designer on Adobe Podcast, and
you can see there that there's like noise in the background, and if I then turn on the enhanced speech and go back.
Hey, Sam here, the lead designer on Adobe Podcast, and I'm out here.
And you can see there that it's removed those background noises. You can choose to kind of like keep them in a little bit so your video doesn't sound kind of like totally flat, but you will want to kind of like lower those background noises. And also there's another bit here where he goes into the office. Here we go. And we're going to play the original.
This is an elevator lobby.
You can see there how echoey that is. And we're just going to click and go back on that.
Elevator lobby, also here at the Adobe office.
And you can see how much that's going to be able to enhance the speech. So if you've got a video that you want to kind of like make it sound better, you can use Adobe Podcast or link to that from Adobe Firefly. Now there's a couple of other options here. Again, I've not played about with all of these options. I feel like every time I open up Adobe Firefly, they are adding new features right now. So if you come in here and see a new feature that I've not talked about or shown you, then do ask about it in the comments below, and I will then do a video on that for you. But we've got production, and this item here is where you're going to be able to upload bulk items. And there's things like remove background. You can resize bulk items into different sizes, and also color grade items. You can see there's another couple of options here where it's kind of like coming over and standardizing headshots, and also upscaling images are a couple of features that are coming soon. But if you wanted to, say, remove the backgrounds of a bulk items, you just come in and upload those items here, and it would remove the background in bulk for you. And you can support up to 1,000 JPEGs, PNG, TIFF images at 50 megabytes maximum file size. So if your file sizes are bigger than that, you'd have to reduce the size of them first, but 50 megabytes is the maximum file size that you can do there. And you can also connect to your storage. This option right now connects to Dropbox, and you'll be able to do bulk edits of images, either removing the backgrounds, cropping the images, color grading, and very soon, hopefully, you'll be able to standardize headshots and also upscale images. Custom models right now is a beta option, and that is something that you would have to sign up for. And if you click on that, there's a whole kind of like sign up process, but that is beta only right now. And then we've also got quick actions, and you can see these are quick actions of things that you might want to do. We've got clip maker, caption video, merge videos, and a lot of these here will actually open up Adobe Express. So clip maker again opens up Adobe Express, and we've got generate QR code. These things are going to open up Adobe Express. Two of my favorite programs right now, Adobe Firefly and Adobe Express, really integrated. So many features here inside of Adobe Firefly. I hope you found this beginner's guide really useful. If you've got any questions at all on Adobe Firefly, drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to be able to help you, and do consider subscribing, because we're going to be doing a lot more tutorials on Adobe Firefly and also Adobe Express for the year ahead. I'm really excited to have you on that journey with me, and can't wait to create the content, because hitting that publish button is better than getting it perfect. Exactly what I've done today, hitting the publish button before I've got it perfect. And hopefully you've bared with me all the way along on this. And yeah, until next time, thank you very much, and bye for now.